We all want to be happy, right? But what does that even mean, really? Is it about getting that big promotion or just feeling good? Or is it something more? Well, forget all the cliches you've heard. Today, we're going to dive deep into the actual science to figure out what it really takes to build a genuinely happy and meaningful life. So here's our game plan. We're going to start by unpacking the big happiness puzzle. Then we'll look at what the science says we can actually control. From there, we'll break down the essential ingredients for a happy life, and then we'll wrap it all up with a simple formula you can start using right away.
All right, let's jump right in. Part 1, the happiness puzzle. And this whole thing really starts with one massive question, one that people have been wrestling with for, well, forever.
It seems like such a simple question, doesn't it? But historically, the answers have always gone in two very different directions, and you really have to understand both of them to get what the modern science of happiness is all about. Okay, so on one side, you've got what's called the hedonic approach. Think of this as happiness from pleasure. That amazing meal, a perfect day at the beach, just having fun. It's all about maximizing the good feelings and minimizing the bad ones. But then, on the other side, you have the eudaimonic approach. This view is deeper. It says true happiness isn't just about feeling good, it's about having a sense of purpose, about personal growth, and feeling like you're part of something bigger than yourself.
So which is it? Is it pleasure or is it purpose? Well, the cool thing is, modern science says we don't actually have to choose. This is where a field called positive psychology comes into the picture. It's all about studying what makes us thrive. And its biggest insight is that lasting happiness isn't one or the other. It's a blend of both. It's enjoying the journey and having a meaningful destination. Okay, so if happiness is a mix of all these different things, that leads to a huge question. How much of it is actually up to us? Let's get into the science of well-being, because this is where the research gets really, really empowering.
For a long time, a lot of people thought our happiness was basically set in stone. It was determined by your genes and whatever life threw at you, stuff you couldn't really change. But then a researcher named Sonia Lyubomirsky came along and asked a radical question. How much of our happiness is actually within our control? And what she found changed everything.
And this is it. This is what she found. So get this. About 50% of our happiness comes from a genetic set point. It's kind of like our default setting. And surprisingly, only 10%, just 10%, is based on our life circumstances. Things like our job, how much money we make, our health. That seems really low, right? But the real game changer is that giant slice right in the middle.
40%. This number is absolutely huge. It represents the part of our happiness that is decided entirely by our intentional activities, our habits, our mindset, and the choices we make day in and day out.
So here's the crucial point. Nearly half of your long-term well-being isn't about what happens to you, it's about what you do. It's not just luck, it's a practice. It turns out happiness is a skill that you can build.
Okay, so we've got this massive 40% that we can actually work with. So the next logical question is, where do we focus our energy? What do we do? Well, thankfully, decades of research point to 3 core ingredients that consistently build a happier life. First, and this is the big one, connections. There's a famous study from Harvard that's followed people for over 80 years. And after all that time, it came to one profound conclusion. Good relationships keep us happier and healthier. It's not about money or fame or career success. The single greatest predictor of our long-term well-being is the quality of our social bonds.
The second core ingredient is engagement. Have you ever been so lost in an activity that time just seems to disappear? A researcher named Csikszentmihalyi called that powerful state flow. It could be playing an instrument, working on a project you love, even gardening. Those moments of being completely absorbed are a huge source of our happiness.
And finally, the third ingredient is our mindset. And one of the most powerful tools we have for shaping our mindset is gratitude. I know it might sound a little simple, but research from psychologists like Robert Emmons has shown again and again that the simple act of consciously focusing on what you're thankful for can significantly boost your happiness. It literally trains your brain to spot the good in your life. So, we have the science and we have the core ingredients. The question now is, how do we put all this together into a practical formula for our own lives? This is it. This is your action plan for that 40%. It's built on 4 pillars. First, actively nurture your relationships. Second, find things that give you a sense of meaning and purpose. Third, seek out those flow states by cultivating deep engagement. And fourth, make gratitude a consistent practice. And the thing is, these aren't just separate ideas. They all work together. So, just to recap, these are the key habits that science shows are the real foundation of a happy life. It's all about deep social connections, a clear sense of purpose, engaging in flow activities, and keeping a mindset of gratitude and personal growth. You'll notice none of this is about luck or big, grand gestures. It's all about the small, consistent choices we make every single day.
And that really brings us to the most important takeaway of all. Science shows us that happiness isn't some destination you arrive at one day. It's not a prize you find. It's a practice. It's a skill, just like learning an instrument or a new language, that you can intentionally develop and get better at over time.
So, the only question left is, what will you practice? Knowing that that big 40% is in your hands, what is one intentional choice, one small thing you can make today to start building your own happiness?